Okay, into your slow cooker, you're going to want to start with 1.5 to 2 pounds of chicken, and you can either use chicken breasts or boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm using breast today. Next, we've got our mirepoix, carrots, onions, and celery. Now we have our spices. We've got our smoky paprika, onion powder, thyme, rosemary, and we've got a bay leaf here that we'll put on the top, and we've got garlic. Next, we have chicken broth, and we're going to need 6 cups. I love my soups to be rich in flavor like most people, so I'm going to add a tablespoon of Better Than Bouillon seasoned roasted chicken. And that is really going to up it up. Next, I'm going to add salt and pepper to taste. Now what you're going to want to do here is, depending on the type of broth that you used and what have you, just go conservative on the salt, or if you like a lot of salt like we do, put what you normally would put in. But we just want to be able to basically salt and pepper at the end, and we will do that before we make it creamy. I'll just go ahead and stir everything together. Put your bay leaf on top. Now, I'm not a big fan of bay, but I am putting just a little one in here, and I hope I can find it when I'm done, but you should probably put like a full leaf in there if that's what you like. If you don't like it, don't put it in. It's no big deal. Now what we're going to do is we are going to put our lid on it, and we're going to cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours, or on high if you'd like for 4 to 6 hours, depending on how much time you have. If you're not going to work today or whatever, just adjust accordingly. But I do want to talk about this Instant Pot for 1 second. First of all, this is the Rio model, and I haven't really done a review on this because I've really only used it. This is the second time I've used it, but I bought it because it has a stainless steel inner pot insert, whatever you call it. And I've just been reading a lot about just the toxic things that are like in those coated ones and stuff. And I wanted to be able to also saute my soups and meals right in the crock pot. So this works. The only thing that I would say I wish Instant Pot would improve on is, instead of just including the pressure cooker lid, which is obviously very important, if they would include a glass lid. Now you can get glass lids for this. I haven't looked into it to see if they have, because this is a pretty new model, but I have to tell you that I had a glass lid that fits this absolutely perfectly. You can still use the Instant Pot lid. That's not a problem. But for me, I just like to be able to see what's going on. All right, we'll see you back when we're ready to add the noodles, the cream, and the extra secret ingredient. Go ahead and shred your chicken and then put it back into the slow cooker. Okay, let's put our shredded chicken back into the slow cooker. Let's add our egg noodles. We have 2.5 cups. You can use any pasta that you like. I just prefer these egg noodles because it's classic. Now go ahead and put your slow cooker on high and cook these for 15 to 20 minutes until they're done. Then we're going to add that creamy goodness that I talked about. Once the noodles are cooked, we are going to temper our 1.5 cups of cream with a little broth. This is going to help so that we won't curdle our broth when we add our secret ingredient, which I'm going to tell you right now is just a little splash, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. It's a game changer. Go ahead and pour your cream into the soup. Here we go. Next, we're going to add half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Now, I have a heaping half cup here because my husband loves Parmesan cheese, and so do I. So you're just going to put that into your soup. And now your soup should go from, it was on high before, but now you're just going to want to let it be on keep warm. Let this just bring up the cream and melt the Parmesan cheese. And then right before we serve, we're going to incorporate our 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Let's see what we need to make this beautiful poncho. First, my favorite tool, which is, I'm sorry, just excuse my furnace, but it's very cold in Michigan here today and I can't work around it, so I'm just going to work with it. But my favorite tool that counts rows is this ring row counter. So some type of row counter is going to make your life a lot easier with this pattern, just because there are so many rows because it's a long piece. Next, I've got some bent yarn needles. I will have all the links for these in the description below. These are my favorite things. I wouldn't know what to do without them. A gauge swatch crochet ruler, or a gauge swatch ruler. This one is 4x4. Of course, hello, a measuring tape. A pair of sharp scissors, and I love these scissors. These actually, this is a necklace. And if you don't want something where you're constantly looking for your scissors, this is it for you. I wear this all the time. A 10mm crochet hook. You will need 1 stitch marker. And I used Respun Lion Brand Thick and Quick. Everybody that knows me knows this is my go-to when I'm crocheting like a bulky piece. This is a number 6 yarn, and there are 223 yards in each skein. And for the size that we're making today, which is a small medium, I used 3 skeins. And of course, we have the written pattern. If you'd like to get the written pattern, it is on bddpatterns.com. Again, today I'm just going to show you how to do the small medium. If you want the other sizes, you'll just go get the pattern, enter buy one, get one when you check out, and your pattern's only going to cost you $2 and something cents. It's extremely reasonable. Just put 2 in your cart and you'll get 1 for free. All right, let's get started. Okay, let's make a gauge swatch. What we're going to need is a 4x4 inch gauge swatch ruler. And if you don't have one of these, I have the link to my favorite one, which is this one below. But you can also use a measuring tape. Now, it might not be as accurate, but not to worry, because in this particular pattern, it's most important that you get the final measurements for the size. And today, again, I am working on a size small medium. All right, we are going to loosely, and I do mean loosely, just pull as you crochet each chain, a chain that is approximately this far out from your swatch. And there's a reason for that. In order to get the accurate gauge, you want to make sure that you've got enough to go outside of this window here. So in this particular pattern, there is no multiple rule. In other words, it can be any amount of stitches. The only thing that you have to consider is on your first chain, you will need to make sure that you have 2 turning chains. But again, it's already written in the pattern, so it's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. And I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I ended up with 12 very loose chains. All right, we are going to do my favorite technique, which is we're going to make sure that our edge, our beginning edge, is just as nice as our ending row or edge, depending on what you want to call it. But the first row will look identical to the last row, and that's what you want. And that's going to make it easier when we go to sew things together. All right, so you're going to want to find the second bump. This is how you would normally crochet. We're not going to do that today. We're going to be crocheting into the back bump just on row 1. After row 1, we got it covered. It's just going to be regular crocheting all the way. So this is going to be a half double crochet stitch throughout, which is, there's a version of it though, and I'll show you that here. But we just want to get this first row of half double crochet down. So locate the second bump and half double crochet into that. Now, if you don't know what a half double crochet is, this tutorial really isn't about that. I have all the stitch tutorials that you'll need. There's a playlist for them. Just go to my YouTube channel, and that is howtocrochetvideos.com, and you'll find everything that you need there for beginners. Now we are continuing along to do half double crochets into this back bump, and because I crocheted a chain of 12, now I will be working across 10 stitches. And pardon my furnace, but I really tried to make this video in between it's coming and going, but it is so cold here in Michigan that it's not cooperating. So I just went forth with it. I know you can hear my voice, so just bear with me. Here we are at the end of row 1. We are now going to chain 2 and turn, and we're heading into our repeat row. The first stitch should be just a regular half double crochet stitch. And this will make your edges nice and neat. Now we are going to crochet a camel stitch, which I'll show you in a second, in between these stitches, but in the last stitch we're going to do a regular half double crochet. So just remember, the repeat row is half double crochet into the first stitch, camel stitch into the next how many ever stitches you've got, stopping at the last stitch, and then the last stitch is a regular half double crochet, and then you will turn. All right, remember how we just did that back kind of bump? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go into this back bar, and we are just going to do our half double crochet. Now what this does is this pulls the stitch forward, so it makes it look like a knitting stitch. Well, I just absolutely love it. See, look at that. And once you get going, you're going to find that it's really easy to find that back bar, because your stitches, once you get like about 3 or 4, started, it just automatically kind of will turn so that you could see it. But again, this is the front of the stitch, this is the back of the stitch, and you're going into this bar right here, stopping again right before the last stitch of your row so that you can do a regular half double crochet. And that again is what you need to make the edges nice and neat. And I'm just going to finish this right here. And now we're at the last stitch, so we're going to turn that just a little bit and work that half double crochet stitch into the last stitch of your row. Now see how that is? It's pulling it forward. On the back it looks like this, on the front it looks like this, but not to worry, because this is one of those great stitches that is completely reversible. Stay tuned for row 2. Before we get into row 2, we have to chain 2. Okay, now we're going to turn. So here we go, we're repeating. Now we are doing a half double crochet stitch into the first stitch. Okay, next we're going to camel stitch, and for me it's just in the next 8 stitches, or I'm sorry, 7 stitches. No, 8 stitches. My math was a little, I blanked out on the math a little bit there, sorry guys. All right, again that back bump, boop boop boop. Okay. Last back bump, And now we're going to go into that last stitch and just do a regular half double crochet. Okay, so look at the front and look at the back. Isn't that cool? It's just this beautiful repeat, and it just creates almost like a little tiny cable. All right, for our gauge swatch, we're going to continue on until we get this about here. So I would say maybe one more row on the bottom and the top. I'll see you back when we're ready to measure. I have my gauge swatch ready to measure, and it would be easier if you see this is the side where that raised row is closer to the bottom, and this is the side where it's one up. So go ahead and measure it on this. It's just easier. Now this is 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows. So we have 7 stitches in that 4x4 window. So we're going to want to remember that. Now let's count our stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 stitches and we have 7 rows, and that is our gauge. Okay, let's make this raven poncho. Today we are going to be making the size small medium, and that will fit up to a 40-inch bust. If you need another size, please go to bddpatterns.com for the written pattern. I always do my videos in the smallest size because it saves me on yarn, and also too, I can get the video done much faster because, you know, it's smaller. So going forward, I have a sale for this year, and that is buy one, get one. So now you can basically get a pattern for right around $2.20. You do have to put 2 patterns in your cart at checkout and enter buy one, get one, and that'll give you 50% off the 2 or more. So as long as you've got 2, you're going to get it for 50%, which is the same thing as getting one for free. You are going to want to chain 51 stitches. Now remember, chain them loosely. Row 1, single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet into each stitch across. At the end of row 1, chain 1 and turn. Row 2, single crochet into each stitch across. And remember, we started out with 51, but now we are actually working over 50 stitches, and that amount will not change for the rest of the product or the pattern. So go ahead and finish your 50 stitches, and we'll meet back here for the next row. At the end of row 2, you are going to want to chain 2 and turn. Row 3, half double crochet into each stitch across. Chain 2 and turn. Row 4, this is your repeat row. What you're going to do is, like I demonstrated in the gauge swatch, you're going to half double crochet into the first stitch, camel stitch, which is your half double crochet into the back bar of the next 48 stitches, and then half double crochet into the last stitch, chain 2 and turn. That is your repeat row. Rows 4 through 86, repeat row 4. Again, row 4, half double crochet into the first stitch, camel stitch into the next 48 stitches, and half double crochet into the last stitch. On the last stitch of row 84, chain 1 and turn. Rows 87 and 88 will all be single crochet in each stitch across. At the end of row 88, you will chain 2 and put a half double crochet back into that same stitch. And I am going to put a half double crochet into that same stitch. Now, I will be working down the edge of my poncho, and that will be the longest part. For you, it's 88 rows. For me, it's obviously not 88 rows. But what I'm going to need to do is I am going to have to put a half double crochet into the ends of these rows. Now here's the part that's going to be intuitive. And by that, I mean you can't really crochet into each row, only because it'll start, your border here will get wonky. So you're gonna have to be intuitive. Don't go so tight, but don't go so loose either. You're just going to have to watch it and see that you're not either pulling your stitches because they're too tight, okay, or that you are going into too many ends, and that'll give you a wavy, unruly border, and we don't want that. The reason that we're doing this is because this is where we're going to seam our poncho, and it's going to be so easy when I show you how to do it. So go ahead and half double crochet along this edge, which would be for you the 86 stitches, until you get to the edge, and then hang on. You're going to chain one and you're going to turn, but I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so your edge should look just like this. You see it's flat, it's not wonky, it's not pulling too tight, it's not doing anything but just serving its purpose, which is easy to seam. So as I said previously, I might have said chain two. Don't chain two, I'm sorry about that. Please just chain one at the end of this row. Now what you're going to do is you're going to bring the opposite end together. Keep working like this, where your rows are going this way, not this way. All right, then you're folded your rectangle in half. Here's the fold here. All right, now we are going to work this way, and we're going to stop at the measurement that is indicated in the written pattern, which is 10 inches. So I'm not going to, obviously I don't have 10 inches to mark here, but what all you need to do is just take your measuring tape and measure 10 inches in, okay, and then put a marker at the 10th inch. So for this purpose, me just demonstrating, this is going to show you exactly how to do this seam. So I'm just going to put this right here. This is my stitch marker. For you, it's going to indicate 10 inches. For me, it just indicates where the hole is. All right, so here we are. We have chained one, and now we're just going to join these two panels together by working single crochets into the stitches. Now the most important thing here is to line up your stitches, and what will happen is this back row will start to pull against you, just because that's just the way it goes. So you've chained one, go ahead and go into both stitches to join, and then single crochet. Now I'm doing this in the air, so it's gonna look a little crazy, but I will get it done so that you can see it. Again, just single crochet through both stitches. Make sure you've got these lined up, and you should be going through 4 loops. We'll just call them loops. The 2 stitches plus the 2 stitches for the front and the 2 stitches for the back. All right, and you're just going to continue along with that single crochet stitch, forming a seam until you reach that stitch marker indicating your neckline, which is a 10-inch opening. And I'm going to move mine down a little bit because that kind of looks silly. So I have made my single crochet seam, and now I am at my stitch marker, and you want to go into those 2 stitches where your marker is and single crochet. Then for added security, go ahead and go back into that stitch and do a slip knot. Now you are going to take out your stitch marker and you are going to single crochet in the round all the way around the neckline opening. And again, yours will be a total of 20 inches because it's 10 on each side. And again, all I'm doing here is just a simple single crochet border, and it's just going to be 1 row. all the way around. Wasn't that easy? This has got to be the easiest poncho ever. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch to join that first stitch when we started the neckline to this last stitch. And this is just going to be it's not that hard. It's just, for me, it's because I'm trying to do this in the air. I'm showing you so I'm close enough to the camera, because autofocus doesn't always work as well as it should. All right, so I am fastening off, and I have secured that neck opening because I have a stitch and then a slip stitch. Now you're going to weave your tails, and all you're going to do is turn it right side out. There's your seam, and you probably want to flatten that seam a little bit. Just finger press it. It's no big deal. Again, weaving your tails. There's your neckline, and there's your poncho. Happy hooking, Happy New Year, and we'll see each other soon in the next video.